the Youth podcast. Today, I'm here with a very special guest.
My name's Ben Lockyer. I'm an entertainment lawyer, fashion lawyer, actually more business and intellectual property lawyer that gets to work with a lot of creatives in a lot of different industries, but people know me as Ben Lawyer, and started my own law firm a little while ago, and it's been an exciting journey.
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's dive more into that. So where'd you go to school?
Yeah, I went to school here in Chicago. It's now called UIC Law School, University of Illinois Chicago, or what used to be the John Marshall Law School. Went there after college, really focused on IP, and really enjoyed the experience out here and decided to stay.
Okay. And then, what got you specifically into your field now? What sparked that?
Yeah, what sparked it was I worked in the government for a long time. I spent 4 years as a prosecutor for the state of Illinois and did a lot of organized crime and financial crimes investigations and prosecutions. And, I enjoyed the work, was very good at it, did a lot of jury trials and got good experience. But, ended up wanting to make some more money and moving up and doing my passion, which was intellectual property and working with branding. And I got this great job working for this big firm doing prosecution work for Nike, Chrome Hearts, Swarovski, all these big brands that people hear of, like Canada Goose. I could go on. And just really enjoyed it. But I guess what happened was I found myself just wanting to have some, a little more excitement in what I was doing. And then two of my good friends, Nicholas Arena and Jake Arena, were becoming artists and getting involved in the scene. They started their own company called Elevated Chapter, and I started helping them out. And then kind of the rest is history. I decided to go out on my own when I saw that there was this big, huge community that needed legal services that were affordable. And yeah, I guess you guys kind of know the rest.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I definitely know a lot of creatives that need that. So that's where you come in. And it's a very unsaturated market, I feel like, too. You don't have a lot of competition, do you?
No, I mean, I think I do have other lawyers who are out there, and it's not really competition. It's everybody needs a lawyer. There's so many creatives out here that there's really enough of room. There's actually enough of an opportunity for everybody to be an entertainment lawyer. The problem is finding good entertainment lawyers who know what they're talking about. And because creatives have so many specific needs, I think people quickly get separated from just basic business services to what entertainers and creative clients really need.
Yeah.
So getting into that though, what made you actually get into law?
Yeah. I guess it goes back to when I was 14 years old, kid in Hawaii, didn't make the soccer team and ended up trying to figure something else out for my winter sport after football. And I found this thing called mock trial and did this thing called an opening argument, won the best attorney award. And after that I was hooked. I love trial work and honestly getting to help people, and being a former musician and creative myself, it's been kind of this great rewarding thing where I've kind of been able to use law, my passion for, art and music, to really give back.
Nice. Yeah, nice.
All right, what was the, because I know you want to refrain from talking about certain things, what is let's just say the most positive experience and then the most negative experience in your field so far?
Yeah, I mean, without getting into client confidential stuff, there's really tough, it's honestly a really tough question. What is the most positive experience I've had? I think this entire year, has had so many positive experiences. I've gotten to help out a lot of different clients, people in their times of need when they really thought that they had no solution or anything to really help anyone. I guess stories that might be really fun, I guess, would be the first time I ever got to wear an actual real chain involving
nice.
This one group called DCG Brothers. What happened was they were part of a search warrant on a house, pretty much wrong place at the wrong time. And because they had these big chains on and were in a house that was being accused or investigated of all kinds of activity, they figured that they were the ringleaders. And one of the big things, it's crazy. And one of the big things that most people don't realize is when you're a rapper, you got to be careful about who you associate and who's around you, because there might be people in your corner or in your camp who might be doing some things on the side. And those things on the side, if they are criminal, quickly can wrap you up into it. One of the things I've always learned is law enforcement, they love to try and paint out the rapper to be the ringleader or the mastermind of whatever's going on. And as we all know, sometimes that could be further from the truth.
It's like a RICO charge, right?
Yeah, sometimes. So I used to charge RICOs, down like with YSL and Young Thug.
Yeah.
Those are very, very hard to charge. If you guys know the thing going on with the Duck trial and the O Block case, they're charging that as a RICO, and you have to show this big hierarchy. When you have like a management group and like an artist or a label, it's really hard to kind of show a RICO unless you can show a strong hierarchy of the top working down and directing others, So no, rappers are not usually in charge of RICOs.
So I saw on your Instagram that you were at Summer Smash, right?
Yeah.
Who are some artists that you're working with? Because I saw, I forget, it was like BLP or who are some of your favorite artists that you've been working with?
Because I work with a lot of producers and a lot of side artists, I've gotten to work with a lot of amazing teams and a lot of amazing major artists. I think probably my favorite that's happened most recently is getting to work with Sexy Red on her big deluxe release. And, just kind of understanding, the dynamics that go into this, making sure that there is a deal, making sure that your client song makes it on the album is a big thing for me. But in terms of artists, I really like, I think BLP's great. I love his flow. Pink Pantheress has been another one. But I love, this new generation of music that's really coming out. Shout out Playboy Cardi, in 2024.
That's a good ass song, dude. That's a good ass song. Love that song.
So you construct these. I'm assuming you make a contract so they don't get sued for these artists, or how do you?
Yeah, how's that work?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do contracts for all kinds of different things. Sometimes it's to avoid getting sued. Sometimes it's to avoid any complications in a deal from happening. When you're working with creatives, everybody thinks their contribution is the most important contribution. And, it's not to say that one person's creativity is better than the other, but looking at the reality of things, if you're working with a big name artist and you don't have very much reputation as a side artist or as a producer, you have to understand the dynamics that they're the ones really making money. They're the ones who are going to make money for you, but making sure that you get your proper credit and your percentage of it is so key. And so a lot of the contracts I do are mainly just to make sure that people are honest, making sure that there are no lawsuits and no disputes, because, having filed a lawsuit myself just recently, it's not cheap. And, I think, people don't really fully appreciate what goes into it. A lot of my clients who do it, though, when it comes down to filing a lawsuit, going to court, it's not taken lightly. It's very expensive. And so by doing a contract in the first place, I say it's like seeing your doctor. Going to see a splinter right away. It sucks having to go right away, pay some money to a doctor to just take out a splinter that hurts really bad, but leaving that in could lead to you losing your arm or your finger. And so that's kind of how it is. Don't let it go too far.
Okay. So you mentioned that Sexy Red album. Yeah. Do you want to name the client who was had the song, or?
Shout out to my to the producers on the song. Producer Andre, Rich Zay, Ao Clipsy, and Uno Reyes. They worked hard on it, getting the deal done, getting the song placed, and you can't really say one person's contribution is more, but making sure people are fairly credited is always a big
huge
thing.
I feel like artists run off with that shit sometimes.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think a bigger problem that happens is more just how music is sent around these days and how the industry works with, just kind of how the internet works these days. You can make good, genuine connections and business relationships with anyone all over the world. It's not uncommon to hear people say, I work with a producer in Ukraine or, somebody in Italy or Hungary. It actually blows my mind that these kids in foreign countries are making these great Detroit rap beats and getting placed with these major artists, and they're from a foreign country.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and it just shows how the culture, the music culture, and the scene, it goes beyond America. It's not just a U.S. thing; it's a global thing.
Definitely.
But getting to my point, though, I guess about ownership and proper credit. A problem that a lot of people have is, people think that, oh man, I shouldn't be in the room, or what am I doing here? It's an honor to be working with that person. And kind of going back to what I said initially, understanding the dynamic and being who you can afford to be is very key, but making sure you get your proper credit and, valuing yourself and making sure that you get something out of it's key. 2% of something is better than 100% of nothing, you know?
100%.
100%.
So like for like A-list artists, we're not gonna say Sexy Red, right? For an A-list artist, what percentage or how much is like the bag that you're requiring for?
For A-list artists,
Yeah.
when we're working with A-list artists,
Yeah.
so it just depends. Sometimes I work with a few very established big producers, and without getting too much into any current negotiations we have going on, which I'll stray from, you know, it just comes down to the dynamic. What do we want from it? You know, getting placed with a very big artist, you know, can open a lot of doors for a lot of people in their career. While working with the smaller up and coming artist might actually be worth it in the long run. You know, you'll see some names that are getting promoted by major labels that are, you know, not fully in the mainstream, but if you know, you know. And working with some of those artists, making a bet on yourself, making a bet on them, sometimes pays off more than working with the big artists, because getting a higher royalty percentage from a smaller artist, which you can negotiate for, you know, could lead to bigger profits on the back end, as opposed to working with, you know, some of the big names right now and getting a very small amount.
Yeah.
Now that we've kind of touched, like, has there been any like negative experiences?
What do you mean by negative?
Just like something that I guess you can't really speak on it. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. I think trying experiences, you know, I'd say like the negative experiences in the job are when, you know, you got to make sure that your client is okay. And also separating yourself as a lawyer from the situation, but being your client's advocate. I often represent people who were, you know, accused of something they've never done, you know, or, you know, are getting their name, you know, spread through the mud. And, you know, giving them their fair shot, it's very tough, because you have to wall yourself off against another attorney who's saying, how dare you, you know, take from this small artist, or how dare you, you know, come to this big label and stuff expecting a big payday like this. And it's keeping your emotions, your ego out of it. It's a very tough and trying experience. I think it's no secret that being a lawyer can be hard as much as it can be fun and rewarding.
Definitely. Have you had any experiences where you're like, damn, I don't want to do this, or have you always just been 10 toes down, like, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I'd say it's always been 10 toes down. This is what I've always wanted to do. I've had a few moments where, you know, I've had some clients one of my clients is falsely accused of this terrible, terrible act of like kidnapping his son. And, you know, there's so much more to the case, you know, and I guess really like testing myself, you know, going, gosh, am I in the wrong? Am I believing a crazy person or a madman? And then really, you know, sticking to my own guns. I'd say that's like, you know, been one of the most toughest and trying things. Also, understanding where you are, where your morals are as a lawyer. Like, if, you know, if I may, I think like one of the big things that's made it easy to kind of avoid those situations is, I guess, knowing who I am in a little sense. I mean, not to say I fully have everything figured out, but knowing that I'm here to help artists, help people grow, help people, you know, have control over their own career and their ownership of their artwork is very important to me. And whether you're a tiny artist or a big artist, this is so important, because essentially there's an entire industry out here where there are a lot of amazing, hardworking people who make the industry what it is. But then at the same time, there's a lot of people who pretend and take advantage and put people in these terrible contracts and situations that just aren't right. And so I guess I've avoided these negative experiences or these moments of wanting to quit by just trying to really stay focused on who I am. But I won't lie to you. Sometimes it's tough and you really have to, you know, dig in.
It's very true. So how do you feel about like a lot of these record labels are trying to take advantage of artists like very early on in their career? In your opinion, do you think that that is true?
Yeah, you know, there are individuals who take advantage of artists in very sleazy ways, and that's why I always tell people, read a contract, talk to people who know, talk to a lawyer, you know, hence the splinter method versus coming after you've signed the contract. But I won't say labels are out here to screw people over. I think that's actually a huge common misconception. You know, there are amazing labels out here, but I think it also falls on artists to understand that these labels are investing a huge amount of resources and money into you. And besides the dollar amount they're giving you as an advance on your royalties they're expecting to make off of you, they're expecting to get that back. They're also giving you recording time, consulting time, marketing, and all these resources you wouldn't have. But, you know, I don't think labels take advantage of people. I think more people need to understand what they're getting themselves into and know what they want before they enter into these deals.
Hell yeah. So one of your clients, we'll get to both of your clients, your main clients. You have 4Got10, right?
Yeah, 4Got10 magazine.
Yeah. How'd you start working with him?
So 4Got10 magazine, there's actually two of them. It's Magazine Mike, as everybody knows, and then Billy Slater, who's out in the UK and London. You know, it was actually funny. I started off as a fan of the magazine. One of my good friends went to the pop-up when they had it here in Chicago and said, dude, you got to check out this company. And I started following their pages and really started consuming their content and reading it to really understand and connect with the people I was trying to learn about. And I thought 4Got10 was, one, such an odd concept of a print magazine in today's age. But at the same time, it's genius because it provides almost a time capsule of what the artist was like, how they were feeling at that moment in time, at that point in their career. And I mean, I can imagine what it's going to be like 10 years from now when people come back. But how I met them, you know, just through the magazine and power of the internet. I DM'd them and said, hey, man, love your stuff, and I want to help you protect your work. Yeah,
that's sick. I definitely, I think I did a interview with Mike a little while ago. So shout out to Mike. And then let's get into your other client, I Feed Fat Chicks.
Yeah.
So how did you initially get started with him?
Yeah, so Jeff Leopard, I Feed Fat Chicks, Diego, man of mystery, man of legend. Very proud of what he's done this past year. How I got involved with him was I met him randomly one night, pretty much a year ago today, at the Speaker Box Christmas party that happened. Yeah, and I met him, actually a lot of people that night that I've now come to know and work with on a regular basis. But no, when I met Jeff and his crew, God, it was more, I guess, like we found each other, I guess would be a good way of putting it. I saw all the stuff he was doing, loved his pranks, said, hey man, if you ever need a lawyer, and it kind of just, it was more of a joke. But then as I saw him grow and him really start taking on this role of being an interviewer and going out and really recording the people who attend these, or showing the people who attend these concerts. He's gotten more opportunities. I think we're gonna do a lot more work together. I'm excited to see where he goes. I mean, as the lawyer on the back end, man, all I do is I make sure that the deal that you think you have is the deal that you're getting. I do a thing called due diligence, and I make sure that you're not jumping into water filled with sharks and everything. And so, when he got that deal on his own, that was through his own connections that he made, his relationships. And I mean, really talking to anybody who's watching this, it's like you guys can do exactly what you're doing, what Diego's doing. It just takes drive. It takes energy and putting yourself out there. But answering the question, I consult and advise Diego all the time to make sure that he is taken care of and that nothing bad is happening. Yeah,
he's one of the funniest YouTubers out there. So if you haven't tuned in, definitely watch him. And then kind of like shifting away from your field and what you do, do you do anything outside of your passion? Do you have certain thing?
Yeah, I like to cycle. So when I was a young kid, I worked at a bike shop actually, and down on Maui, I worked my first real interactions with celebrities was through this bike shop. My boss was this former professional cyclist. He didn't compete in the Tour de France, but was all in the smaller ones. And so this big enthusiast. And so growing up on Maui, Hawaii, there's a small town called Paia. That's this big hippie holdout. And you can ride from literally sea level all the way up to the top of the volcano and everything. One of the few places you can do this giant climb. And so, through I got to meet a lot of cool celebrities didn't get to ride with Lance, but I met Lance Armstrong, Owen Wilson, Bill Walton from the Celtics. So was a cool experience. And so ever since then, I love cycling. Got this cool bike called the Pinarello. It's the Ferrari of bicycles. And so, you might catch me out on the Lakefront Trail, like riding that.
That's sick. This is an interesting question. Do you ever like go out and then like, someone come up to you and then you tell them you're a lawyer? Would they, do they have a certain perception about you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it depends on who it is. Originally, when I tell people I was a lawyer, well, when I was a 26-year-old guy fresh out of law school as a lawyer, it was a great move and stuff for like, introducing myself and, making moves. But other than that, I'd say lawyers get a bad rep usually.
Yeah.
You got to take it in stride. You got to deal with all the funny lawyer jokes you get, kind of keep them. But recently, something new's been kind of coming up for me, which is ever since I started doing these reels, which I'm trying to do more of, pretty much people come up to me and say, hey, Ben, like, thank you for like, posting that video, or I learned a lot, or asked me about it. And I think that's something that most lawyers don't get.
Definitely.
And so when I hear that and I get to meet people in the art industry, it's actually really nice because I get to meet people who need help, want help. And I guess, I've met this community that needs help, and I'm here to just really like talk to people and like share whatever I can with people and help however I can.
Definitely. So I have 2 more questions,
Yeah.
and I'm probably going to wrap this up. First question, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
At the Grammys,
Shit.
definitely going to a red carpet viewing for one of my clients.
Okay.
One of the big things that I'm trying to do right now is beyond music and fashion and social media that people know me for, I represent a lot of different clients in different industries. I used to do commercial production out in LA when I was younger. And through it, I, maintained some relationships. And I have this one very talented director as a client. And can't talk about the project too much, but if everything goes right, we're going to be partnering with a certain musician and getting them a nice acting role, helping showcase their music. And, hopefully we'll be seeing that soon.
Okay. I'll be definitely excited to look out for that. And then the last question, this podcast is called For the Youth. So what is your message for the youth?
Believe in yourself. Don't give up. When I was 18, 19, I didn't know what the heck I was really going to do, but I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. If you know you want to be an artist, you want to be a musician, take the journey. Don't ever give up and follow your passion. Your passion will always find a way to come back to you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for hopping on.
Hey,
Appreciate
thanks,
it.
George.
Appreciate it.
Boys.
Let's go.
Yeah, you came back and you fell. Second place, can't be in my face, so now.